And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Welcome to Oklahoma Sportscene here at the Wee Street Ice Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and welcome to our 250th show. Take a look now at the show lineup for this week. Finally here, the 33rd Summer Olympic Games in Paris, France, July 26th to August the 11th. Some 15,000 athletes from 206 nations compete in 32 sports over the 17 days. This is the third time the capital city of France has hosted the Games. In 1900 and 100 years ago, 1924. From the Chariots of Fire movie, those two athletes that competed in those games. Our Olympic preview includes two-time Olympic gold medal gymnast Bart Conner, former University of Oklahoma star. Also Olympic legend, gold medal track star Madeline Manning Mims. Joins us here on the set with some of her Olympic memories. And we'll have Eric Bailey join us for the SEC Football Media Days and hear from Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. First, though, the Tulsa World Hot Topics. Let's begin with the Tulsa Oilers' second indoor professional football season. Ended this past Friday, July 19th, with an impressive 44-24 win in the BOK Center against the Massachusetts Pirates. Tulsa ended with a 6-10 record. That's a 4-win improvement over its first season. Season tickets for the 2025 season are now on sale. Tulsa's AA minor league baseball team, the Drillers, on the road this week in Frisco, Texas for a 6-game series. And they'll begin the week with a 12-8 record. Second place, the Texas League North, just a half game back of Springfield. And the Cardinals coming to town here next week. That 6-game series, July 30th through August 4th. Fireworks on Friday night. And again, battle for first place in the North Division. FC Tulsa scored a 1-0 victory on Saturday night over Memphis 901 FC at 1-0 Field. Take a look at this goal. What skill by Philip Goodrum. Scored the only goal of the match with a back heel kick in the 41st minute of a cross from Boubacar Diallo. FC Tulsa wraps up its homestand this Friday, July 26th, 7:30, hosting Indy 11 for the first time this season. Golf's final major tournament of the year, the 152nd Open on the Royal Troon course in Scotland, and the champion golfer of the year is American Xavier Schauffele. Final round score 65, 9 under par, 2-shot win over Justin Rose of England and American Billy Herschel. USA golfers, by the way, swept all 4 of the majors this year, the first time since 1982. They've now won 7 consecutive major tournaments. That's the longest streak in 47 years. Tiger Woods, though, failed to make the cut for a third straight time in a major with a 36-hole score of 156, matching the highest score in his storied career. Tiger announced he won't play again until possibly December. One of Third Racing's major summer stakes, the 3-year-olds, the $1 million Haskell Invitational, run Saturday at Monmouth Park in New Jersey, trying to be a rematch of the Belmont Stakes. Number 1, Dornack on the rail, trying to hold off the challenge of Mind Frame. Here's the call.
And they're off. And the Naira Betts Haskell. Mind frame bobbled coming out of there. He's recovered, though. And Dornock from the inside post. Offensive-minded. Has a head lead. Timberlake off the layoff is fresh. A little bit keen and moves level. In the third spot is the Park Shipper. Just step on it. Mind frame gets over towards the rail. The run in the 4th position. He's 2 lengths ahead of Sea Streak. Then Jasper's Pride. And Tuscan Sky, sluggish early. Gets a couple taps of the crop to get going. Is well out of it as they make their way around the clubhouse turn. And Dornock setting the pace, the Belmont winner, a half length in front. Timberlake right there to press the issue. Just step on it is third, 3 deep, and Mind Frame is in a pocket, 4th to the inside. 2.5 lengths off the lead, swinging up the backstretch. Sea Streak a length behind him, a gap of 3 to Jasper's Pride, and still a big gap back to Tuscan Sky as they head down the backstretch. Dornock setting a moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead. Timberlake going okay in the second position. Just step on it. Remains 3 wide. Mind Frame attempting to get off the rail. He's got a clear path now. Finds that clear path. Takes 4th. 2.5 lengths off the lead. Is 4 wide going into the turn. Sea Streak is next. The others are well out of it. Here comes the race. The race is on now. Dornock set to log. Mind Frame moving up ominously. Here's Mind Frame and Irad Ortiz Jr. going strong. Dornock set to long, but he's lost the lead. Attempts to re-rally. Timberlake in an all-out drive between them. It's Mind Frame confidently handled. Switches leads and gets the cue to go. Dornock is trying hard, but he's left behind in second, fighting back from the inside. Mind Frame, Dornock coming back. They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers. 1-2, and Dornock stubborn. Dornock wins the Haskell.
So Dornack now moves to the top of the 3-year-old class, heading to the August 24th Traverse Stakes at Saratoga. Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert's 3-year suspension at Churchill Downs has finally been lifted, dated back to 2021. When Baffert trained Medina Spirit tested positive after winning the Kentucky Derby. Baffert took full responsibility, added, "I very much look forward to returning to Churchill Downs, getting back to the winner's circle." He knows how to get there. Baffert is tied with Ben Jones for the most Kentucky Derby wins with 6. By the way, football is here. NFL training camps open across the nation this week. Come back with our Summer Olympic preview with 2 local Olympians.
Our story. It lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
The Remington Park Casino is always open for jackpot gaming. The winning action never ends. Enjoy great food and drinks in the Bricktown Brewery, open daily at 11 a.m. Simulcast racing is offered every day, featuring North America's best tracks. Visit the Club Remington desk for player card membership and begin earning points and rewards. The jackpots are always flowing. The next one could be yours at Remington Park.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
Around the clock, throughout eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
The 33rd Summer Olympic Games getting underway this Friday in Paris, France on the 26th. As part of our Olympic preview of the next few shows, we had a Zoom call with a 2-time gold medalist gymnast, Oklahoma Sooner, Bart Conner. We asked Bart what it takes to make the Olympic team and what does it mean to be an Olympian.
Well, Chris, I remember the first time that I made the Olympic team. It was back in 1976, and I remember my coach at the time was my high school gymnastics coach, and he said, from this day forward, the word Olympian will be associated with your name for the rest of your life. And it was fairly overwhelming to think about what that means and the idea of Olympism and what the Olympics stand for. So, yeah, I'm enormously proud that I have that title. And of course, you know, I stuck around for a long time in order to compete in my last Olympics, which was Los Angeles in 1984, and won a couple of gold medals there. But yeah, it is one of those life-changing things that few of us are fortunate enough to enjoy.
Well, what a career. You won medals at every level of competition, national, international competition. I was looking back first at 14 years old. You were the 1972 U.S. Junior National Champion. At 17, the youngest member of the Olympic team that went on to the 1976 Games.
Yeah, and of course, nobody remembers me from the 1976 Olympics because they all remember Nadia. She kind of stole the show with her perfect 10 performances and stuff. So, and then I was a member of the 1980 Olympic team, which was the year that we boycotted the games and didn't go to Moscow, you might remember. And so I stuck around to the 84 Olympics in Los Angeles. And now, interestingly enough, I have a role with the LA 2028 Olympics in 4 years from now, which we'll be sharing here in Oklahoma with Los Angeles, and proud to be a part of that whole experience with canoe slalom coming here. And of course, softball. It'll be a major success, and it's a big moment for Oklahoma to be hosting two of the Olympic sports.
You mentioned Nadia Comaneci, of course, your wife. You got married in Bucharest in 1996. She is the winner of 9 Olympic medals, 5 of them gold, and she is still quite the star in Europe, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a big deal pretty much everywhere we go, and she'll be quite busy over there. In fact, there's a couple of surprises I'm not allowed to talk about, but you'll see her in a prominent role related to the Olympics. So it's very exciting. And in fact, she's in several commercials right now that are running to promote the concept of Olympism and what the Olympics really stand for. So you'll see a bunch of her over the next few weeks.
And of course, we take you back to the University of Oklahoma days. Talk about the days with the Sooners and how you got to OU from Illinois.
Well, Chris, I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. I made my first Olympic team as I was a senior in high school. So I was the youngest to win the nationals back then and make that Olympic team. And but I knew I had to go somewhere to extend my career. And Oklahoma had a great young coach named Paul Zert, who had just come here a few years before. And I followed him here. And it was definitely, Chris, the road not taken. Back then, the top schools were places like Michigan, Penn State, Iowa State, Oregon, where the top coaches had settled. Well, Paul had only been here a couple of years, but I knew that he was the kind of coach that could help me get to the level I wanted to get. So I came to Oklahoma. That surprised a lot of people because I turned down scholarships at places like Stanford and Michigan and Penn State and others. But it turns out coming to Oklahoma was easily the best decision of my life because it sent me on a course to not only be successful at OU with our team and help build a dynamic program there that still is one of the quality programs in the country, but of course it helped me all the way to my individual pursuits of winning an Olympic gold medal.
And just looking again at some of the accolades, the USOC Olympic Hall of Fame inductee, 1991, USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame, 96, Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, 1997, National Gymnastics Hall of Fame, 1997. Just shows you're getting old, Bart.
I signed up for Medicare Part A the other day, Chris, so I get it. Don't believe me. We have a gymnastics club here in Norman. We have about 1,000 students, and I coach the boys gymnastics team. And so it's super fun because they give me a hard time about being the old guy. But every once in a while, if they challenge me with something, I say, I can't demonstrate, but I can pull up a YouTube video and show you that I used to be able to do that.
I just, again, trying to imagine, Bart, the pressure on these young athletes and all the work, all the preparation, and you get that one opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the Olympics that makes it particularly scary. You can do all you want to try to make yourself think like it's another competition, but it's not. I mean, it's the whole world is watching. I think you don't really feel that until the opening ceremonies, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, there's a lot of people counting on me. And I've often said that you compete for yourself and for your team and for your coach and your family. What I think none of us really anticipated was how much it means to the country and to the state and to your hometown. And so when you come home from the games, you realize, wow, people were watching. And the fact that, we represented our country and our state and OU, with class and distinction and worked our hardest to do the best we could to represent the United States. That's a powerful thing to be a part of. And you don't sense the impact of that until many years later. Here, it's been 40 years now, Chris. I was in LA the other day for the Los Angeles 84 Olympic reunion with Peter Ueberroth and some of the great Carl Lewis and Edwin Moses and just all kinds of Greg Louganis, all kinds of Olympic legends. And yet, there's a brotherhood of people who have the name Olympian. And I'm still enormously proud of that. And I'm grateful that people still remember us from that era.
Great times, great memories, Bart. We're going to talk about these, both the U.S. men's and women's team. And actually, gymnastics doesn't get started until the 27th of this month, goes through the 5th of August. So a little time to wait. And what will the athletes be doing all that time? I'm sure practice, obviously, but any time off at all?
No, obviously it's so intense right now. And of course, all eyes will be on Simone Biles. Not only is she one of the greatest of all time, but of course everyone remembers the troubles that she had at the Tokyo Olympics. And I think there's a bit of a redemption mindset for her. And I anticipate she'll dominate the games in Paris as she has done before. And I'm really excited to watch the men's team because they haven't won a medal in about 20 years, and the men, the quality of gymnastics for the men in the U.S., they get enormously overshadowed by these women who are just superstars and dominating the world. But this could be a really great chance for the U.S. men to bring home a medal. And I think the last one they did was back in maybe it was 2008. So looking forward to cheering on the men as well as the women throughout that whole 10-day experience.
We come back, we'll break them down. Take a look first at the U.S. men's Olympic team for the 2024 Paris Games, then the sensational women's team as well. Talking with Olympian Bart Conner on Oklahoma Sports Scene. We'll be right back.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Founded in 1960, Ed Bechera's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing has been dressing gentlemen for over half a century. We are family owned and operated, offering premium brand tuxedos and accessories in our Tulsa store on South Harvard. Bechera's also does made-to-measure suits, sports coats, dress shirts, and slacks, and a top line of sportswear. We do tailoring on site to assure the perfect fit so you will look your very best for that special occasion. Ed Bechera's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing, an Oklahoma tradition.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
We're back on Oklahoma Sports Scene with Olympian Bart Conner, who's in Paris now, getting prepared for his opportunity on television, as well as many things he's hosting over there. And his lovely wife, Nadia, coming right over his shoulder there, you see. Great Olympian, too. She'll be very busy over there as well in the Paris Olympics. So let's start with the gymnastics. They're waiting till the 27th of this month to get going through the August the 5th. Let's start with our men's team. And you say it's been a while since our men have won Olympic medals over there. How do you like this team?
I love this team. And in fact, they have some really compelling stories. It's a very diverse team. The gymnastics is different than it was when I was competing. There are more opportunities for a more diverse group of athletes. And plus, we have a really amazing story in this. Brody Malone is a fascinating story. Here's a guy who is a world champion on the high bar. He's been a leader of the men's program for the last several years. And just about a year and a half ago, he was in a competition in Europe, fell off the high bar and dislocated his knee, and he's had 3 subsequent surgeries. And I mean, it was really an ugly, awful, grotesque injury. And yet he's come all the way back to qualify for this team. And I think there's going to be a lot of sentimental attachment to his comeback. And hopefully he can lead the team along with some amazing guys like Frederick Richard, who is the top qualifier for the Olympic team. These guys not only have gelled as a team, but I think they have individual medal hopes as well. The sky's the limit for this team, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they do well as a team, and of course bring home some individual medals as well.
Yeah, watching the trials, that Frederick Richard, who was dominant there. And the University of Michigan gymnast led the all-around in both days of competition. Came in the top spot on the high bar and second on parallel bars. And he looked the real leader of this team.
Yeah, and what the U.S. did, which is interesting, because at the last couple of World Championships, the U.S. program realized they were competing well, but they didn't have a level of difficulty that they could contend with the best teams around the world, currently China and Japan. And so they went back and they kind of incentivized these athletes to try harder skills and to do them with excellence. And it's really paying off. So the U.S. team is much more competitive with the best teams in the world than it was at the last two Olympics. And so I think that strategy will bode well, because they have a very, very high level of difficulty exercises for all the athletes, led by Fred Richard. And they do them with really good execution. So if they can hit the routines, as we keep our fingers crossed for them, a medal is a possibility in the team competition.
Yeah, Brody claimed a second all-around spot in the trials of both days of competition there, a young gymnast from Georgia.
Yeah, he's, Oklahomans might appreciate his story, because when he was a little kid, he rode rodeo. And he was a bull rider, and when he was like 9, 10 years old. Wow. And so now he's attached to a pommel horse, but that thing's, bolted to the ground, so it's not moving. But he's an amazing athlete, because he does really intense gymnastics, really complicated gymnastics, and he never shows any emotion, whether he hits it perfectly or whether he, has a mistake. He has the same demeanor all the time, and he's a rock. And I believe he'll be a great leader for the team.
Another Wolverine on the team is Paul Judah from Deerfield, Illinois.
Yeah, I like Paul a lot. I grew up in the Chicago area, so I followed him when he was a little kid. And he's really clean. And that's really what his trademark is. And he's good on the events where the U.S. needs a little help. He's very good on the pommel horse, and that's been a weak event for the United States team. And so if he hits the way he does, he's less likely to win a medal, but you can always rely on him. He always sticks his landings. And he's always super clean. And there's a big part of our sport is not just the difficulty, but the execution level. And he performs with such clean execution. I'm sure he'll score well internationally.
Combo Texas gymnast at the University of Stanford is Asher Hong, who's just brilliant on the still rings.
And it's been fun to watch Asher grow up, because I watched him as he was training in Houston, Texas. He was competing, in fact, even with my son just a few years ago at the regionals out in Lubbock, Texas. And I remember thinking, this kid's unbelievable. I mean, and he was really young, and he's fearless. He does very difficult gymnastics. And he had a great competition the last day of the trials and earned a spot on that team. So he's another one of those Stanford guys. This team is mostly Michigan and Stanford. And, it was a few years back, but it was mostly the Oklahoma guys that were leading the Olympic team. But right now, the nucleus of the top men in the country right now are associated with both Stanford and Michigan.
Fifth member of that team, Stephen Yodasik, how you say the name, I believe, from Massachusetts. Pommel horse.
Stephen Netarasic. Yeah, he's a former world champion on the pommel horse, and he's brilliant on that one event. And it was a little bit controversial, because when they build the team for the Olympics, they don't just take the top qualifiers. They take the top couple of guys based on what they bring to the team. But then it's a little bit like building a team. You can't have all pitchers, and you can't have all quarterbacks, and you can't have all linemen. You got to mix it together. And the U.S. was a little weak on pommel horse, and he's brilliant there. He's a former world champion. So they put him on the team specifically for one event. So there's an enormous amount of pressure for him, because it's a little bit like bringing in a field goal kicker. I mean, that's what the guy does. And, you have one job, and his job will be to hit his pommel horse routine to help the team.
Okay, let's break it down for the men. Who are the best men's gymnastics teams in the world? Who do you expect to take the Olympic medals?
I believe the U.S. will be in contention with Japan, China, and Great Britain. As you know, the Soviet Union, which is, Russia now, is they're not going to be competing, and they would have been contending for a medal, but for all the right reasons, I think that they're out of the games.
Well, let's talk about the women now. And they certainly are in the spotlight, seems like every year. And what a powerful team. Two Olympic all-around gold medalists lead the way for the U.S. women's team.
And that's never happened ever in history. Two Olympic all-around gold medalists on the same team. As you know, over the years, the women's gymnastics careers is quite short. It's quite compressed between about 14 and maybe 19 years of age. And but because these athletes have NIL opportunities, and they also can earn money as Olympic athletes without losing their NCAA eligibility, we have a lot of these women who are competing much older. So the average age is one of the oldest teams we've ever had, I think, since back in the 70s. And you have people like Simone Biles, who's like 27 years old. And that's rare. In Nadia's era in the 70s and the 80s, most gymnasts were done when they were out of high school because there were very few opportunities to make a living at the sport. So they had to move on and do something else. And also they were giving up NCAA eligibility if they took any money at all. So they couldn't even go to college. But, we have people like Jade Carey, who's an Olympic gold medalist on the floor exercise at the games in Tokyo. She went to Oregon State. We have Jordan Childs, who went to UCLA and may go back. She still has eligibility there. And so many of them are extending their careers in college as well as, their elite careers as Olympians.
Well, what do you say about Simone Biles? I mean, looking at her 37-time Olympic and world champion medalist. You said maybe a redemption tour for her after things went so bad for her in Tokyo. But what happened there? Talk about that effect of a gymnast can have.
Well, it's hard to explain, but I heard someone say it the other day. I thought that was a pretty good explanation. She had what's called the twisties, and basically it's like the yips for a golfer, and it's hard to explain. It has a lot to do with pressure. It feels a little bit like vertigo. I heard someone the other day say it's a little bit like going on a roller coaster and closing your eyes. You don't know which way you're going. And with someone like Simone Biles, who is flying through the air so high and doing such complicated skills, it's dangerous if you get lost in the air. It'd be like a scuba diver not knowing which way is up or down, and they're swimming in the wrong direction, right? And so it's very, very scary. I've had it myself. Lots of gymnasts have, and unfortunately, it just sprung up on Simone at the Olympics in Tokyo under the enormous pressure. So I think she's gotten help. I mean, there's a lot of athletes who've dealt with this twisties things, but rarely does it happen on a world stage. So she went back to the basics and rebuilt her skills and her confidence, and she looks better than ever.
Bart Conner, can't thank you enough for taking the time, and wish you and Nadia the best of trips, safe travels over to Paris. I know you do great at the Olympics, and hope our teams. And how about the women's Olympics? Anybody going to challenge our women's gymnastics team, or who are the best in the world at the Olympics?
I think, if the women do what they do, they're untouchable. And so, I look for them standing atop the podium and redeeming themselves. They gave up that gold medal to Russia in the 2020 games, but their big competition will come from countries like Great Britain is quite good right now. Italy is quite good, but you never know at those competitions how it's going to shake out. But they're quite dominant. They've dominated the team competition for the last 15, 20 years, and I see them continuing that streak.
We have another Olympian on the program coming up right after we finish here. They're going to be on the set with us. You probably heard the name, Madeline Manning Mims. What a legend.
Oh, I love her. And in fact, I was so thrilled that she was recently honored by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. And she's a legend, and give her my best, because she's a hero in the gymnastics world. And of course, she's a hero to all of us here in Oklahoma.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. You and Nadia have a great time over there. Bring back some medals for us, and hopefully we'll have a chance to get you back on Oklahoma Sports Scene when the Olympics are all wrapped up.
I look forward to it, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Bart. Right back with Oklahoma Sports Scene here with Madeline Manning Mims right after the break.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
Our story, it lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Around the clock, throughout eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
Continuing on with our preview of the Summer Olympic Games, we have a true legend in the sport. Olympian Dr. Madeline Manning Mims of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Dr. Mims, great to see you as well, honey.
You too, Chris.
Absolute legend in track. In fact, it took 53 years to break her 1968 Olympic record in the 800 meters in Mexico City, one of 3 Olympics she took part in. Madeline, what a career.
Yes, it's hard to think about. That time has passed so fast, you know. During the time I was actually training for it, the time seemed slow, you know.
Right, yeah.
But when I look back at it now, it seems like a whole nother lifetime.
She won gold in Mexico City in the 800 meters. And before that, she had American and world records. And this after overcoming spinal meningitis, right,
Yes.
as a child.
As 3 years old.
Wow.
Had spinal meningitis. In fact, the whole diagnosis was that I wasn't supposed to live.
Oh, my gosh.
And my mother, thank God, she was a woman of great faith, and she asked God to give her baby girl back to her.
Wow.
And he did, and I struggled until I was about 14, just to be normal like the rest of the kids. But during that struggle, it made me strong. It made me mentally and physically and spiritually strong. And I learned how not to give up on anything.
Her first national title was won as a high school runner. That was 1965, a student at John Hay High School in your hometown of Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes.
Won your first national title in the 440 at the Girls AAU Championships.
Yeah, well, not only that, I became the first girl in the world to break the 440-yard dash record as a high school. I was 15 years old. So I think that awakened me to that, oh, maybe something's in this, you know? But I didn't even that at that time, I wasn't even thinking about the Olympics. I mean, that seemed something far-fetched coming out of a ghetto area and into something like that. I didn't even know if I would make college.
Well, you certainly did, and with one of the outstanding legendary programs at Tennessee State, you were not just a track star there, you were a Tiger Bell.
Tiger Bell, the famous Tiger Bells.
Yeah.
Wilma Rudolph started that.
That's right, I remember
in
that,
1960 in Rome. And that legendary move put us on the map, the United States on the map. We had girls even before that that were top sprinters.
Yeah.
But she's the one that opened the door, and then you have so many others coming after her. Wyoming Attias, who became the first woman or male, either one, to break back-to-back 100-meter gold medals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. From 1967 to 1980, Madeline Manning Mims here set and won 10 indoor and outdoor titles, set numerous American records, and then off the Olympics. 1968, Mexico City. Talk about the Olympic experience.
I was in my second year of college, and it was all new to me. You know, to walk into a village where you see the whole world, you know, and people talking to, and the fun thing was you could just walk up to somebody and start talking to them. They talk back to you in their language, and you don't know what they said. They don't know what, but that camaraderie and respect, knowing what it took to get there, made it very strong in our relationships. So it was all new to me, and I was excited about it.
And on to Munich in 1972.
Yes, and that was the hell year.
Yeah, awful.
That was the year that the Black September came in and killed the Israeli athletes, which was directly across from the women's dormitory for track and field.
Wow.
We saw the whole thing going on from our porch. And so that was her hard year.
Well, 1980 was the Moscow Boycott Olympics, but you still managed to pick up a gold that year.
Yes.
Talk about this.
Yes, this is the congressional record from the Congress had to pass a law to give to those who made the team, and it says, in recognition of outstanding athletic achievement and determination in the pursuit of excellence by an act of Congress.
A lot more to talk about with Madeline Manning Mims, including a new book she's just released. A lot more records to talk about. Stay with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
Winning action continues throughout the summer at Remington Park. Simulcast racing begins daily before noon from the top tracks across North America. Jackpot play is always available as the casino is always open. Mark your calendars now for the 2024 Thoroughbred season at Remington Park, starting August 16th and continuing through December 13th. Winning racing and casino play every day at Remington Park.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Oklahoma Sports Scene, spotlighting the Summer Olympic Games. By the way, the section just before we had you on, Madeline. Talked to a good friend of yours, said be sure to say hi to Madeline Manning Mims by Bart Conner.
Oh, yes.
And he and Nadia, of course, yeah.
Both he and I are in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame.
And congratulations on that. Recent honor.
Yes.
Well deserved, too, I think.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Well, amazing career here. And I want to talk about now the Olympics, right now, 2024. And, of course, probably the top events in the Summer Olympics are the track and field events, a number of events, number of competitors. And for the first time, there are going to be an equal number of gold medals for men and women. How about that?
Right.
Madeline?
That should have happened a long time ago.
Sure,
but
that's right.
I'm very happy about this.
All right, let's talk about some of the young ladies on our American team. You're familiar with some of them. Who are some of the stars we should look for in the Summer Olympics on the track?
Oh my gosh, we have an extremely strong team going. And I'm excited because the men's 100 and the women's 100, we have women who have done world leading times.
Wow.
The same for the men. All 6 of those will be on the relay teams. We've got, and the young kid, Quincy Wilson, the 16-year-older.
Yes. And made it, that's right.
I met him, I met his mother,
Oh,
I
wow.
prayed with him, and I didn't know that at that moment he was preparing for his finals. And he just is the love of my life. He was precious. And so I'm excited about that, to have him. And our field eventers are looking really good, extremely good. So I'm excited about this team. Actually, the whole USA team has a lot of different sports that are top, our world. And so that's going to be 600 people strong that are going to be representing us, and we have an excellent team.
Sha'Carri Richardson, fastest 100 meter in the world today. She's on the team.
Yeah.
Sydney McLaughlin-Lebron, is it?
Yes.
She's a 400-meter hurdles world record holder. And have Kathleen Anna Hall, first Olympic team for her.
Yeah, Anna's mother was sitting next to me at the trials. That was exciting to watch her.
Oh, I can imagine.
Getting so excited, and we were pulling and hollering for her to do the 800 meters.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and she made it, and so we were really proud of her. It's fun to be there and get a chance to not only meet some of the athletes, but some of their family members as well.
I know I had to break your heart. We had one of our top athletes fell in the trials.
Yes, actually, our top 3 800-meter women are top in the world, and none of them are going. A thing, unfortunately, had a mishap where she fell. I was right there, trackside, and saw it, and I was just, my heart was broken. But you know what? It's wonderful to see her go get it. Okay, she said, okay, this type of thing happens, but you know what? I'm going to go out during the Diamond League on the circuit, and I'm going to break the world record. And I was like, yes, come on, girlfriend. Because really, I think, Chris, of all the women that I have seen run the 800 meters, and many have been outstanding, she's the only one that has it all together, the full package. And I asked her in 2022, I said, do you think you could break the world record? And she said, yes.
Wow.
I said, I'm in agreement with you.
Go for it. Our man, Noah Lyles, leads the way, 4-time world 100 and 200 meter champion, bronze medalist in Tokyo. And we have a great shot putter. It's Ryan Krauser looks to make Olympic history. 3 gold medals in a row,
3 gold
right?
medals.
Wow.
Yeah. And wonderful young man.
Yeah.
Wonderful young man.
Well, Madeline, what does it mean?
Go ahead.
All your life, you'll always be known. You are an Olympian. What does that mean to have that title?
Very few people have that experience. Very few people are born with that ability, because it's not just like, I want to be. You know, you have to come in earth with some type of really special skill that's already there that just needs to be worked on. So I look at it and I look back and I think, boy, this not only gives me the opportunity to encourage other young ladies and young men to be the best that they're called to be, but also have the honor of just loving on. Now I'm pouring back. Now I'm mentoring.
Sure.
And I'm giving back like that.
Nobody better. She's a motivational speaker. Again, was our Olympic chaplain for years and years. And now a new book out. This is The Hope of Glory.
The Hope of Glory, the resurgence of what was that?
The resurgence of a matriarch.
Matriarch,
right?
I started to say masterpiece, but of a matriarch.
Well,
talking about the female coming forward. and bringing her legacy with her.
We've known each other for years. Honored to have you with us. By the way, nobody sings the national anthem better than Dr. Madeline Manning Mims, too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the Olympics.
Thank you.
And go USA. We'll show you some of these medals here on the interview as well. We'll come right back and talk some football now. SEC Media Day just completed. Eric Bailey, Tulsa World, was down there. Have a full report for us right after the break.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
Founded in 1960, Ed Bechera's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing has been dressing gentlemen for over half a century. We are family owned and operated, offering premium brand tuxedos and accessories in our Tulsa store on South Harvard. Bechera's also does made-to-measure suits, sports coats, dress shirts, and slacks, and a top line of sportswear. We do tailoring on site to assure the perfect fit so you will look your very best for that special occasion. Ed Bechera's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing, an Oklahoma tradition.
You've seen the billboards, you've heard the hype, and now it's time for the Wee Street Ice Center to open its doors and welcome you in. 140,000 square feet, 2 ice rinks, public skating, hockey, arcade, game simulators, and the largest sports bar and grill is sliding into Tulsa. It's the grand opening of the new Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale. Make your plans, get your skate on, or watch some sports today. The Wee Street Ice Center, now open and ready to serve you. Wee Street Ice Center, 43rd and Yale.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
Well, the Southeastern Conference held its 4-day preseason media days for football. Had it in Dallas, Texas, on July 15th, 18th. And our man, Eric Bailey, Tulsa World, veteran sports writer, award-winning sports writer, and the guy who does the OU beat. So what do you think of the SEC in your first journey down there?
Overwhelming, Chris. You think about it, all the schools there, 16 schools, 4 days, 4 schools win each day. A lot different than Big 12, really official, but we had a really good time doing it.
SEC, of course, means the best. We had Greg Sankey, their commissioner, open the program with his kind of address, the kind of state of the SEC. And I tell you, it's so impressive. Listen to Greg Sankey come back with Eric Bailey, but listen as he talks about the SEC and what this conference is all about.
The now 16 athletic programs in the SEC last year earned 11 total national championships. The SEC is the only conference to participate in every one of the 14 college football playoffs. For the 18th consecutive year, we led all leagues with the most NFL players drafted at 59. We're excited about this year's College Football Hall of Fame inductees that include Kentucky's Tim Couch, Arkansas's Dan Hampton, Alabama's Antonio Langham, and Texas A&M's Kevin Smith. And we're pleased to celebrate with new member, University of Oklahoma, the induction of Dewey Selman, who's both an Oklahoma legend and the father of Mississippi State University Athletic Director Zach Selman. In the NBA playoffs that I mentioned a moment ago, players who had played on SEC teams were represented in a greater number than any other conference with 49. 1/3 of this year's WNBA All-Star roster are from the SEC. For the 2024 Major League Baseball season, we had 88 players on opening day rosters, and yesterday saw 20 players taken in this year's Major League Baseball draft. You're probably tired of hearing me say it, but those numbers are the most of any conference. For the 25th straight year, we led the nation in football attendance. For the 28th consecutive year, we led the nation in college baseball attendance, having 8 of the top 10 attendance leaders in 2024. Our softball already led the nation in attendance, nearly doubling the next closest conference. The same is true in women's gymnastics. And one of the growth sports for us, women's soccer, led in both average and total attendance during the 2023 season across the country. We're also proud to have finished yet again with another SEC versus SEC College World Series championship final this year. It was Tennessee and Texas A&M, the 6th overall SEC versus SEC baseball final, the 3rd in the past 4 years, but if you adjust our membership, and remember it was Oklahoma and Ole Miss a few years ago, SEC teams have been consistently filling the national championship series. There's a total of 21 times across all sports where a national championship, like women's tennis this year between Georgia and Texas A&M, involved 2 SEC teams. When we look ahead to the Paris Olympic Games, there are a total of 270 Olympians with SEC ties. 85 will populate the Team USA roster. 42 of those U.S. Olympians are returning Olympic competitors, and 43 will be first-time Olympians. And we will have every one of our 16 universities represented on the U.S. Olympic roster. And that roster in U.S. track and field includes 35% of that roster being comprised of representatives from SEC universities. In swimming and diving, it's 37% of that roster. And we will have representatives on all 4 of the U.S. Olympic basketball teams, the men's basketball 5-on-5 team, the women's basketball 5-on-5 team, and the same in both the men's and women's 3-on-3 teams.
Eric, I'd say Commissioner Sankey made a pretty compelling argument for the SEC and why it's the best conference in all of athletics.
And we've known that for many years.
Yeah.
We just, the proof is in what the national championships we see, and Alabama, Georgia. This is a monster conference.
How was OU accepted at the media days?
I think you look at the history of Oklahoma and Texas, as a matter of fact, they know the schools that are coming in, the history, the tradition. A lot of the schools, a lot of the coaches, they expect them to bring a lot of cachet to the league. And I think Oklahoma and Texas know what they're getting to as well.
Let's take a look at the SEC preseason media poll. Sooner fans are just shocked to see OU in the middle of the pack there. What do you think of this poll?
I think Oklahoma is going to surprise some schools this year. I think Oklahoma does have an extremely tough conference schedule, though.
Yeah.
When you look at it, 6 of the opponents on the schedule are above them, starting with Texas, of course. But you got Alabama, you got Ole Miss, you got Missouri, you got Tennessee, you got LSU. Oklahoma plays all those schools. It's going to be a tough first year for Brent Venables and his crew, but it's a challenge they're willing to accept.
The preseason team also came out, the top 3 teams in the SEC. I was a little concerned that you had only 1 offensive player and 2 defensive players. They're the first teamers, though.
But you know what impresses me, Chris, when you think about it? 5 years ago, could you have looked at this Oklahoma team and say, you have 2 first-team All-SEC caliber defensive players?
That's true, yeah.
I would have never expected that. But then on the flip side, Oklahoma has always had stars on the offensive side of the ball. You don't have that this year. You have a third-teamer in Deion Burks, who hasn't played 1 game in an Oklahoma jersey, third-team wide receiver. But if you're an Oklahoma fan, you got to be excited because what he brings from Purdue to that offense, the playmaking abilities, that's going to be big for the Sooners. I've been really impressed with what he did in the spring game. Let's just see if that translates to the field this fall.
Defense, Danny Stutzman, the linebacker who came back. Thank you, Danny. And then Billy Bowman, and the defensive secondary. They talk about OU secondary being maybe one of the best in college football.
I really think it is. And again, I always go back to what this team was when Brent Venables inherited it from Lincoln Riley. You didn't know what they were going to have. And in 3 short years, he's created this defense into what it is. You knew it was going to come. In the days before the transfer portal, this couldn't have happened. But with the transfer portal, he's been able to develop and create his type of defense, and I think that's big. And you're correct. Danny Stutzman coming back has made this defense big. Billy Bowman coming back too. We haven't
Right.
talked about that. It was important for him to come back. So Stutzman and Bowman, they're the captains of this team, and we can't forget Ethan Downs too. His leadership has been so important.
What are the thoughts on the sophomore quarterback, Jackson Arnold?
You know, I think it was important for him to have that Alamo Bowl experience. I know the outcome wasn't what he wanted, but I think having that experience, having that start, and then going into spring knowing he's the starter, there's no quarterback competition. He knows this is his offense. He knows this is his team. And he's learning the offense with everyone else, with Seth Luttrell. He's going in not having to go in there and try to play catch up with the other players around him. Everyone's going in on the same footing. I think that's so important for Jackson. He's extremely talented too, so I think that's important as well.
Running backs, where do we stand with that?
I think you have a really good one with Gavin Sawchuk. I think we saw what he did, ending the season with so many back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yeah.
You got some leadership back there. You have someone that's going to go in with confidence. Now the key with him is going to be the guys in front, that offensive line.
That's
going to be the big question mark. You're going to have a brand new offensive line. What are they going to be able to do, not only in the run game, but with pass protection with a first-year quarterback?
So all the SEC media put the Oklahoma Sooners 8th of the 16 teams. Where did you put the Sooners in your preseason poll?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're finished 5th or 6th, maybe even as high as 4th. I think they could surprise some teams. This is going to be a better football team than advertised, but that schedule, it's going to be so tough, Chris.
Eric, great to have you with us always, my friend.
Thanks.
We're going to come right back, wrap things up, look ahead to next week on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Our story, it lives in Tulsa, where the spirit of the past lives alongside us and urges us on toward a vibrant future. Because our story is still being written. It's the story of Tulsa, told by the journalists who live it and love it. Whether it's covering our rich history, bringing you the hidden gems of the food scene, or following the action in local sports. And here, in the Tulsa world, is where it comes to life.
Winning action continues throughout the summer at Remington Park. Simulcast racing begins daily before noon from the top tracks across North America. Jackpot play is always available as the casino is always open. Mark your calendars now for the 2024 Thoroughbred season at Remington Park, starting August 16th and continuing through December 13th. Winning racing and casino play every day at Remington Park.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
In 1960, Ed Bashira's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing has been dressing gentlemen for over half a century. We are family owned and operated, offering premium brand tuxedos and accessories in our Tulsa store on South Harvard. Bashira's also does made-to-measure suits, sports coats, dress shirts, and slacks, and a top line of sportswear. We do tailoring on-site to assure the perfect fit, so you will look your very best for that special occasion. Ed Bashira's Formal Wear and Fine Clothing, an Oklahoma tradition.
It's time. Time to get back to the basics. Time to meet up with family and friends. Time to play ball. It's time to cheer on your Tulsa Drillers. It's Hornsby time. It's Tulsa time in the heart of the city. It's time to fire it up.
And be sure to join us next week on Oklahoma Sports Scene. Mike James comes over from the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame to introduce the class of 2024. And the Tulsa Drillers, a big homestand with first place Springfield Cardinals. We'll preview that for you as well. All coming up next week on Oklahoma Sports Scene. Until then, as we always remind you, be a good sport.